Hi. So, as you may have seen on the shelf behind me, and by the thumbnail, and by all the things indicating what this is about before I even say it, I'm talking about those two bad boys back there. I read this at the beginning of the month. This is literally what the video is about, by the way. I just wanted to talk about these because I think this is called the Letters of Enchantment duology. I think that's what it's called. And I just wanted to talk about them because I adore them, and it's been a while since that's kind of happened where I can adore both books instead of one and not like the next and blah blah blah. And because I'm going to give you all the details on what will make you want to read it and why you should read it, etc, etc. So obviously the first one, if you haven't heard of these before, this is Divine Rivals and this is Ruthless Vows. I would be absolutely shocked if you haven't heard of them because they were all over everything. They were all over TikTok, BookTube, everywhere. And so if you are a bookish person, I do actually expect that you know about these two books. Also, if you know Sarah Caroli, she loves these. What's her name? Alexa Ray loves these. So there were a lot of the reasoning why I actually read it. Sarah Caroli was the main one. She said it was good, and so I was like, I'm going to read it. And then I found the hardcovers, and I had been searching for a while. I hadn't found them anywhere, and now I found them here in Dubai. So they are with me, and they are my prized possessions. You should see, I'll actually show you underneath the dust jacket. They've got these beautiful designs on the covers, and the other one's blue. And it's the same, but it's for the other character. Please ignore the stains, that's disgusting. So I'm going to get into it because otherwise I'm going to take way too long. And my phone is dying, so I'm going to be real. So the first one, Divine Rivals, these are by Rebecca Ross, by the way. Amazing author. First books I've read by her. Her writing is incredible. It is poetic. It's just everything about it is stunning. She tells a story so well, and everything is so clear and descriptive. And I really like authors that you can tell that the writing is good, because otherwise I don't really like, like the rom-com novels. Those are fine, but it's not going to be fantastic writing. I like good writing because I tend to appreciate it. Okay, so that's one reason why you should read it, because the writing is fantastic, and if you value good writing, you're gonna like it. The first one is about Roman and Iris. So Iris, the main protagonist in this book, her brother goes to the army, and she writes letters to him according to a legend that she was told by her grandmother. So she was told that if you put letters underneath your wardrobe, they would go to somebody. Well, I think she thought to the targeted person. So she thought she was sending them to her brother. Meanwhile, her rival, her divine rival, Roman, was receiving the letters, and the romance over the course of the book continues to grow, and like it says on the cover, it says no god, no creature, no war can come between them. And that's very true, because you see throughout everything that goes on, these two characters love each other so much, and you need to read it for the romance, because it's nail-biting and it's just beautiful. It's literally, I think it's one of the best romances I've ever read. For sure. So I gave Divine Rivals 5 stars because it's definitely the better one of the two. The romance is more prominent in this one, and even in like the first 150 pages I fell in love with these characters. That's how good the writing is. I fell in love with every single character. Not towards the end, but anyway, we're not going to talk about that. Read that for yourself. Iris, she's such a sweet character. She's so sweet. She's described in the book with like a braid the whole time, and you really have this clear vision of who she is, and her job is so fitting to her character. and it's just great. So in the, as I would show on the cover, a big part of this book is the typewriters, because it takes place back in the day, and so they're writing on typewriters, and it's like going click clack click clack in the book, and it's them writing to each other on the typewriters, and she's a journalist, so she uses the typewriters at work. And a big portion, a big chunk of this book is, the most beautiful part I would actually say, is the letters from Roman to Iris. It's definitely the best part, the way they write to each other, the way they feel comfortable in each other's presence and feel comfortable like venting to each other, even though they don't know who each other are. They don't know who it is. So she thinks it's her brother, but then she realizes that it's not. But Roman knows the whole time, and that's not a spoiler because it says at the very beginning, they were able to become comfortable with each other without even knowing who they were writing to, and I thought that was so pretty and just so great in and of itself, and that's exactly why you should read it. I think there's a lot of, going back to the way it's written, there's a lot of quotes that you can definitely highlight, and it will make you reflect on your own life. I think there's a lot of points in this book where it's gonna make you sit for a second and think, unless you're just so intoxicated by the romance and you can't think out of it and you just want to keep reading. But I do think there's a lot of things that you can think about whilst reading the book. And so, if I haven't said it already, I definitely recommend. I wish I could link my Goodreads so that you could see my review, because obviously when you're on the spot, the words come out different, and when you're writing, the words come out different. But I'm gonna see if I can link it in the description somehow, or put it in the comments or something, because that's like my true review. I'm just trying to get you to read it. Also, read it if you trust me. Boom. Done. That's what you should do. So yeah, overall, I couldn't fault it. She's definitely one of my new order by authors. I need to read everything that she's written. I think she's written 6 novels, so not too many, which shows that she puts effort into the ones that she does write. She's not worried about quantity, it's about the quality. Boom. Read. Okay, so then when this one wraps up, there's obviously, so it's a romance, but it's also fantasy, because there's the aspect with the gods in the world, and there's the politics with the gods and how the people act with the gods and things like that, but it's more in the back. Then when you come to Ruthless Vows, it becomes way more prominent. I would say that they are the main thing in this book. So as opposed to the romance, it's more on the fantasy side with the gods. I don't want to say anything about the god plotline because I don't know if it's going to be spoilers. So I'm not going to. Anyway, this is the second book, so I can say less about this one than I could about the first because there's more chance of spoilers. But what I will say is, I gave this one a 4 stars. It's not as good as the first one. The romance is the part that really takes you on a roller coaster. The gods, it's definitely interesting. I'm not opposed to it at all, that's why I read the whole thing. I didn't get bored. I do think it was a bit prolonged, and maybe I can see how people would find it boring. But because I love these characters so much, and was continuing to love them over the course of the book, there was no possibility of me being bored. So if you end up liking the characters, there's no way that you won't like the story. At the end, there's a big moment for a character, and it was super cool to see. There's more letters in this book. There's growth in this book. There's more people in this book. There's a lot of different aspects added into it. So there may or may not be, I'm not going to say that actually. That's a bit of a spoiler. I'm not going to say that. But there's new people introduced. More people, you delve more into their backstories and trauma and things like that. There's so many sad parts in this book. I read it in the office, so I couldn't sob, but if I wasn't in an office, I would have sobbed. It was really, it tugged on the heartstrings, that's for sure. I'm like thinking about this particular scene right by the end. It's like on page 340 or something. Oh my gosh, it was so sad. It was so sad. This one is sad. The first one's not, I don't think. I don't know. It evokes emotion, but I don't think it's sad. But overall, as a series, as a duology, I think that it is a 5-star duology, because I love these characters. I loved the setting, I loved the story, I loved the writing, I loved every aspect of it that I could possibly think of. I just took the star off of the second one because of maybe, I don't know, it's just not as good. It doesn't have the 5-star feeling. It's not as good as the first one. But, and also, they're pretty. So you want them because they, whoa, you can't see a thing. You want them because they're pretty. You want to put them on your bookshelf. I'll tell you that for sure. Her name is Iris, so I think that's why they have a bunch of flowers on the cover. They're so pretty. I love them. And to close off, one thing that I have just thought of is I think that it was very refreshing to see a romance where there was no third act conflict. It was just these characters absolutely adored each other, and it didn't, nothing could alter that. Not the storyline, not the gods, nothing could affect the way they felt for each other, and they always found their way back to each other, and it was so beautiful. It really was beautiful. And if that didn't convince you to read it, I don't know what will. That is if you haven't read it. I think most of the population has read it. But if you haven't, do. Thanks. Okay, so thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you're gonna go and order them if you haven't read them, for everything that I've just said. And I hope that you read them, love them, and tell your mom, dad, brothers, sisters, dogs, cats about it, because Rebecca Ross deserves it. Thank you. I'll see you soon with what I have. I think I've already decided what it's gonna be. I think I already know what it's gonna be. But even if I do, I'm not gonna tell you now, so you'll see soon.